Before we get into today's NFL mailbag, I want you to shout out your squad in the comments section of today's show. Who is your favorite NFL team? A super thanks to begin today's mailbag from CJ DeYoung III. This is in reference to Kellen Moore as the Saints head coach. And is going to lead you to the promised land? Laughs. Thanks. I think the biggest issue for the Saints is probably not the coaching stuff. It's that team is not equipped to win right now. If I were the Saints, and we'll see what they do, and that's not their MO, I would embrace a rebuild. They haven't done that in a very long time. They got all through the Breeze era, try to make the Derek Carr era work. I don't think it's going to. I would kind of embrace getting your books in line for the first time in a decade at this point. Do a 1 or 2 year reset financially. Figure out what you're going to have roster-wise. Let Kellen Moore learn and grow in the job, and then go be aggressive again in a couple of seasons. A super chat from Kivo. Thank you, my friend. Cowboys fan here says draft Jeanty and trade for Davante Adams. I will say, with the outsized Davante Adams contract, it's way too much money for him. I do not anticipate him being traded. You can look at the Davante Adams deal. He's owed like $36-something million this upcoming year. Almost $37 million. It's a lot of money. I don't think an NFL team is going to be interested in paying him that. At least not for 1 year. You can restructure, but then you're just pushing him down the line. I think it's far more likely Adams gets cut. And in that case, Cowboys and others should have interest. He can still play. And Jeanty in round 1, it's a popular mock draft pick for a reason. Adam Dent, what do you think the Panthers' main priority should be, and who should they sign this offseason? Okay, good question. I think part of this is we're kind of back all in on Bryce Young, trying to make Bryce Young work. I think you want to figure out if you're going to do Austin Corbett, like internally first and foremost. I would like to get another playmaker. I know you spent a first-round pick on Xavier Legette. I know you have Adam Thielen. The Coke heads are my guys. That's Joe Coker, in case no one knows what I'm talking about. Otherwise, that sounds really weird on an NFL show. I think you want to get another playmaker, and you have to throw some assets at defense too. That you kind of robbed Peter to pay Paul to an extent, and traded away some of your better defensive players, on from some of the guys like Brian Burns. You need to get more defensive talent. I would, unless Ted McMillan's there in round 1, I'd probably draft defense in some capacity in the first round. I look at the safety room and go, I don't like this group very much. I would be interested in throwing money at like a Javon Holland, at a Trayvon Merrick potentially as well. From Carson, not to mention edge help is needed pretty badly too in Carolina. The Cowboys trade Micah? I don't think so. I know there was the NFL Network report that kind of screamed classic Cowboys getting attention on the Super Bowl day and NFL Network getting their views and clicks on a game day, as we've seen a lot in the past with between those two groups and organizations. Also comes on the heels of Jerry saying like 2 days earlier he wants to pay Micah, and Micah saying he wants to get the deal done ASAP. So it just doesn't pass the smell test enough for me in the end. Now, what do you think the Cowboys should do with Micah? If you're a team that wants Micah, you can type in T and try to will it into existence. It's fine. T for trade, P for pay. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Eric, will Aaron Rodgers be a starting QB in 2025? Yes. Now, he could retire. That's an option. I don't think he wants to. I think maybe there's at some point going to be an awakening for Aaron or at least a rude awakening of, hey, you got to do the team stuff first, not all about you. But I think he starts somewhere. Does he finish the year as a starter? Who's to say at his age? But I think someone gives him a chance to start in 2025. From Mike, Nintendo Master, where do you think the biggest free agent what do you think will be the biggest free agent signing or trade? Ooh. I mean, obviously, big names like Debo Samuel and Myles Garrett and Cooper Kupp are now heavily being involved there. I think trade-wise that I haven't heard a ton of buzz about, I could see something happening in Seattle with DK Metcalf. I could actually see a trade happening there. Otherwise, it's probably extension time for DK. Or they dump Tyler Lockett. I think Seattle moves on from one of those receivers this offseason. Signing-wise, I think Trey Smith is going to get an unbelievable amount of money from somebody in free agency. Unless the Chiefs franchise tag, which they might, but it's just all O-line money, so you're paying him tackle money, and at that point, they might not want to do that. But I could see a team like the Bears the Patriots throwing money at Trey Smith. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. It is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. All-Star Weekend is almost here, and it is the best place to win cash while watching your favorite players during the game and the Saturday night events and all kinds of good stuff beyond just All-Star Weekend for basketball and all that's to come on that front. And also, baseball just around the corner here as well. You can get in on the action. My boy Jack Lauderay, our baseball expert. Bit of a homer pick, I think, with Duran, more than homers. But I like the more than on season-long Prize Pick slates because if they're healthy, they almost always get there. I also love the flex play. That way, if you get one wrong, you can still come out on top. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play that first $5 lineup. Link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after that first $5 lineup. LaCour Victor, what will New England do with all the cash they have this offseason? Big spenders or big savers? Mike Vrabel's coming in. They're not bringing in Mike Vrabel to not try to win quickly. They have the quarterback in place. They have Drake May. So I would expect spending by New England. Maybe not like the Dan Snyder era Washington football team spending where they just get reckless with it, but a receiver, offensive line help, defensive help. They've got the ability to spend. It's not a loaded free agency class, but there will be players you can throw some money around towards. Skyler, Carolina should sign Charvarius Ward. I actually like that one quite a bit. I don't know what Ward's market's going to look like because he dealt with so much tragedy last season that he kind of just, I don't think he wants to go back to San Francisco. And I get that. At some point, the human element overrides the football element. Corners a need for Carolina. Mike Jackson's a free agent. I like J.C. Horn a lot. I think there's some question marks around the rest of that roster. So, yeah, I'd be totally down adding him. Eric, where will Sam Darnold play in 2025? We can go to my top destinations here real quick if you want to, Chris. I look at a team like Pittsburgh. Stands out to me as a prime candidate. That was the Rodgers one. Never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. I think Pittsburgh is a prime candidate. I think the Raiders could make some sense. I think Tennessee, if they want to try to win sooner than later, which maybe isn't their best path. Minnesota return always makes some sense. Dark Horse Giants, if they're trying to save their team a little bit. Although maybe Darnold doesn't want to go back to New York. There will be plenty of interest in Sam Darnold in free agency. There's just no way that given the general need of teams that just have quarterback question marks and got to get something figured out from Las Vegas to Pittsburgh to New York. I doubt the Browns spend that amount of money. That seems unlikely there. It seems like a more likely destination for Kirk Cousins. If the Rams move on from Matthew Stafford, that's a fun dark horse fit as well. I'll shoot my shot and say Pittsburgh for Darnold, Tennessee for Rodgers, but it's not an immensely confident prediction. Ryan, is a Derek Carr trade in the cards this offseason? I had to make sure I emphasize that word properly. Technically, yes. Reality, probably not. I think there's interest in Derek Carr if he gets cut. Derek Carr is owed $40 million this season. I don't know if they really want to do that. I don't know NFL teams like, man, you know what we should do? $40 million for Derek Carr. Salary cap's rising. It's not as much as maybe it sounds like it is. That's a lot of money. That's starting quarterback money for a guy coming off an injury and has kind of just been like a good-ish starter for the majority of his career. He's never been a top 10 QB. Want to pay a premium for that? I kind of don't want to. What do you think the Saints end up doing with Derek Carr? K for they keep him, C for they cut him, T for a trade. Mike, where do you think Deebo will play next season? I don't think San Francisco. At some point, Pittsburgh will get a wide receiver. So as I put him number 1 on my Deebo destinations list, I'll go with Pittsburgh as well here. Cali Lama, if neither Carter or Hunter are available with the Patriots for 4, who should they select? Or do they trade down? That's a great question. I think the Patriots would love to see 2 quarterbacks go off the board in the first 3 picks. They want a non-Giant to jump up with the Titans, or Titans to QB. That'd be ideal for them. If both those guys are gone, I think they would like to try to trade down. The issue is, I don't know who's going to jump up. I don't know how much interest there's going to be in moving up for. I like Mason Graham. I'd be my best player on the board at that point. I don't know if anyone wants to jump up for Mason Graham significantly and make it worth the Patriots' while. So they could just take Graham, or they just take the best available offensive player. That could be Will Campbell. That could be Ted McMillan, T-Mac, and they just try to build around Drake May. Now, if you have not already, hit that sub button. YouTube.com/chatsportstv for more free NFL YouTube videos. Rafe, if Nick Cali performs, D'Amico fills holes, and the defense stays dominant, next have to be a top 15 in the NFL and are Super Bowl bound. I think they have the ability to do all of that, and I think that you're checking off the box, right? The OC and the offense get better, the defense fills some holes, and D'Amico helps adjust the roster. Defense stays strong. That's in the range of outcomes, absolutely. But I think they got to adjust the offensive line, and they do need better, I think, coordinating from their new OC. Papichulo sits. Interested to get a previous year redraft. Maybe. I won't guarantee or commit either way. It's on the list of potential segments we can do here. The issue we always run into is when it makes sense to do that, there's always free agency stuff going on too. That's a little bit more relevant. So we'll see on that front. Frank, should Jaxson Dart go in round 1? So Dart will almost assuredly end up as my number 3 QB. I do want to say that. I'm not trying to be a hater here, but I just don't get it. He's got a good arm. I saw some NFL writers saying he's the next Josh Allen, and I'm like, no. Like, what are we doing out here? He's not the same level of athlete. He's not the same arm strength. He wasn't asked to do the same things. I have the same concerns or positives. I do like Dart. I think that is a good developmental quarterback who I think should go late day 2, early day 3. It's not to the same level of like, let's put Matt Corral in round 1 mock drafts. Because I think that Dart offers better off-field stuff than maybe Matt Corral did for Ole Miss. I think actually maybe a lot more. And if you're looking to develop someone behind an established starter, I actually think that could make some sense. But he wasn't asked to like read out offenses at Ole Miss. That was one read stuff, and he wasn't even that great at playing on time either. Had to improv a bit more than I think Ole Miss would have preferred. He can do that stuff, but it's going to be harder at the NFL. So like round 1, no. Day 2, late day 2, okay, sure. I'm fine with that. Now, how many QBs do you think end up going in round 1 of the 2025 NFL draft? You just put me down as a hater of this draft class. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. But let me know how many QBs go in round 1 this year. HoofTube, could the Seahawks trade DK in the 2025 first for Myles Garrett? I think what they would more likely do is reroute Derek or DK Metcalf somewhere else to get more draft picks. If the Browns trade Garrett, it is a rebuild. They should not try to win without a top 3 edge in football. That doesn't make any sense. So DK doesn't help them at all. And it's actually more money that they have to pay him. So I don't think that intrigues the Browns. You send DK somewhere else, get more draft picks, then it could make some sense. Adam Dent, where do you think Wyatt Millum will go? That is the West Virginia offensive lineman. I think he goes some point somewhere on either mid to late day 2 or early day 3. I didn't put him on the Senior Bowl losers list. I probably could have. I was pretty underwhelmed by his performance there. I think he sneaks in somewhere top 100. Not convinced he's going to go early round 2 like I was, in like October of this past year. I think he plays guard, by the way, in the NFL. So whatever team needs a guard, it's about all of them. I actually think like If he gets down to like the Titans in the 4th somehow, which I think is unlikely, but Titans in the 4th I could see being a good pick there. I wouldn't even be that mad about Titans in the 2nd, frankly, if they trade down.